You are welcome to another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. The government has acted the innocent party for way too long. Throughout the period they have attempted to hold R. Kelly accountable for crimes he did not commit. Hiding behind their representation of the people of Illinois and New York, the prosecutors want to behave as though they are only custodians of power to indict, yet with no accountability for their own attempts to evade or to manipulate the law. The prosecutors want to make the world think that their job is only to mediate as opposed to being the actual accusers of R. Kelly. The reality, however, is that with a federal lawsuit, it's the prosecutors who on behalf or the people accuse the defendant. The alleged victims only come in as witnesses, and therefore any attempts by the government to abuse or manipulate the U.S. laws falls directly on the shoulders of the prosecutors who hold the mantle and have the responsibility to make a properly informed indictment. And this is one thing Attorney Jennifer Bonjean, among many other attorneys in our country, knows best, the reason she is always successful at holding these representatives of the government responsible for all the silly mistakes they tend to make when handling cases of this nature. Throughout the case against R. Kelly, however, the government prosecutors have only assumed responsibility for the indictment when things were still looking clean, but are not willing to take full responsibility now that their illegal actions and intentions have become public knowledge. What exactly are we talking about here? The government prosecutors were enjoying the show when the case had just taken off, with R. Kelly's image being tarnished in the media thanks to the infamous Surviving R. Kelly docuseries. But the moment the real truth leaked for the whole world to see their dirty linen, when it became known to the world how they concocted charges that R. Kelly has nothing to do with, when it occurred to the public that in fact these women such as Lisa Van Allen and Faith Rogers had not been underage as initially alleged, once we got to learn about the text message evidence that disqualifies their principal witness claims, and that they corrupted the BOP into leaking restricted inmate communications to the public, they chose to go mute and pretend like they have completely nothing to do with all this. It's however important that the government realizes the Court of Appeals will not be ignoring all these aspects of legal malpractice that transpired during the trial court processes. There are certain standards the appeal court requires the trial courts to meet when handling cases, and the Brooklyn Federal Court was completely short of that. When it comes to R. Kelly's case, there is just no way for the appeal court to ignore the illegalities that were committed by the government and the trial court, and most especially the violation of R. Kelly's attorney-client privacy, as well as the acts of witness tampering that saw the leaked call and email records accessed by a key figure in the case who later on turned out to be the government's principal witness. The trial court is going to have to explain how and why they would overlook this attack on justice and proceed to deliberate and arrive at an all-guilty verdict. There is just no way a man whose rights have been violated to this extent can turn out guilty for all counts. At the bare minimum, even before we visit the facts, there should be some charges dropped for prosecutorial misconduct. The Brooklyn Federal Court is technically asking the world to believe that it's okay for the government to conduct itself in whichever way they feel appropriate to them, even if they violate the basic human rights of several citizens like they did R. Kelly, and annoyingly they want us to believe that this should not cost them in any way. There is just no way for the trial court and prosecution to justify this move to sabotage R. Kelly's defense. It's not only an attack on R. Kelly as a person, but on the entire U.S. justice system. Our country is yet to lose the moral authority to blame any other leaders around the world for impunity and injustice, for as long as our own government continues to abuse and violate the rights of citizens, and to break its own laws in an attempt to take down specific individuals. In any case, this country has never been innocent. The idea of an ideal America has remained a myth ever since the people of this nation decided to trade slaves from Africa, use them as forced labor on their farms, and later on assimilate their descendants as minority second-class citizens they will pounce on as they please with completely no regret. In fact, our country has no right to speak on matters of forced labor, considering they did not see this as illegal for decades, and now they want to define forced labor in ways that make R. Kelly disadvantaged. Our government is just shameless. Leaving all this aside, there is no doubt the government did make an attempt to deceive the honorable court when they onboarded the deceitful actress Lisa Van Allen onto the list of alleged victims that were meant to help them crucify R. Kelly. Little did they know that R. Kelly supporters are critical enough to do the math and realize she was all along telling lies about her age. To make matters worse, this was not going to be Van Allen's first appearance in court on matters to do with R. Kelly, as she had already taken the stand back in 2008 as a witness against the same man. This means she was not a first-time liar in her act of perjury, but was now qualified as an experienced perpetual liar. Why the government would attempt to bring her back to the stand to add to the lies she already told in 2008 is rather hard to understand. Unless the government wishes to convince us that they hadn't done the math, but clearly if they hadn't bothered to compute through and seek proof of age from one of their witnesses, why would the court believe the statements made by the other witnesses with regard to how old they were when they started out with R. Kelly? The act of government lying to the courts of law is a matter that should attract very serious concerns, considering these are the custodians of justice after the justice system. The same government that sets the laws for everyone to follow shouldn't be the first culprit when it comes to breaking them. The government exercising injustice on R. Kelly is enough proof that they can do this to anybody. While it's R. Kelly today, tomorrow it can be a political opponent who wishes to become president being illegally sidelined. This is likely the reason we are seeing first sons of presidents being dragged into the politics of today. It's a shame on our nation. It can be anyone else. Thankfully, R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean is not going to leave these matters of government attempting to deceive the court of law unattended. She will have to see them addressed, and surely, it would be detrimental to the justice system if the appeal court chose to overlook some of these important issues. According to Greta Barnes, "It's so sad how we black people can choose to go against our own for the benefit of the others. While nobody is perfect, it's y'all that literally lied on R. Kelly. You took him away from his children and misused him, and later made the world believe that he did unimaginable things to you that ain't true. It's also sad to see how the parents were more than determined to solicit their own children with hope to exploit the R&B king. Why the trial courts would choose to believe these people and not R. Kelly is hard to imagine. The evidence of perjury by his accusers is eminent, and the appeal court should take action." Thanks Jennifer Bonjean and Associates for doing an awesome job exposing all this. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sashalfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.